Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're not yet subscribed, my name is Stefania, and I'm currently on a 100-day countdown journey to my 32nd birthday, intending to radically change my life. Now, the two areas that I'm primarily focusing on are my body and my business. And in today's episode, I want to share more about why I'm even on this wellness journey when it comes to my physical body and why specifically I've chosen Pilates as the avenue to do it through. To give you some background, I'm not necessarily the most athletic person. I used to be a competitive volleyball coach and I used to play volleyball quite actively, but over the years, I have tried to find my fitness groove, if you will. I've done spin and yoga and Bikram and boxing and HIIT classes and all of these different things, but there was always something that felt like it was in the way. And what I've noticed upon reflection was that even in these fitness classes, I would constantly compare myself to other people instead of focusing on my own practice. I did not have the internal muscle memory to not be in my head comparing to other people. And so every time I would go to a fitness class, I would end up physically exhausted, but also mentally and emotionally exhausted, rather than feeling all of the endorphins that I got from exercise in the first place, with the odd class here and there that would allow me to feel really great in myself. And don't get me wrong, not all classes were like that. It was just that the circumstances and the conditions of those classes made it very easy for my self-sabotage to come in and my inner competitive player, we'll call her, to take the lead. Now, I've also gone to the gym, but I found that boring. I also would get very scared around equipment, not sure if I'm using it right. Then you switch over to social media, and every single fitness person is telling you, don't do this, do that, do the other thing. And then there's conflicting information. And so I was constantly bombarded with either what I'm doing is wrong, how I'm doing it is wrong, and not really feeling confident in myself enough to show up for myself. That was until a couple months ago, there was a brand new Reformer's Pilates gym opening up in my building. As soon as I saw their sign, I was excited and I could feel the energy in my body increase to explore it. The very first time I had ever done Reformer Pilates was at Solid Core in Washington, D.C. And let me tell you, that class killed me. I don't have much core strength to begin with. So to have an entire class focus on my core, I was in so much pain after that. I was just shocked that I even lasted the entire session. But this was different. And I knew that it was different just by walking in. This particular studio has the great environment, great instructors. And given that I lived in the building, I got access to a community offer. So for like $40, I got 2 weeks of unlimited classes. I knew for myself that I wanted to take as many classes as my body would physically allow me to, just so I could get in there and get into motion, which aside is very important when your nervous system is in a freeze state, to take care of your body in a way that feels nutritive and supportive rather than trying to force yourself to do something it's not ready to. In this class, I did not feel pressured. I did not feel like I couldn't keep up. And I did not feel like I needed to even look at other people on their reformers. Mostly because when you're on a reformer, it's next to impossible to even look at what other people are doing because you are literally on a contraption that is being controlled by your muscles. And so my inner competitive player just was silent. I couldn't activate her. I had to be focused in and on myself and what I could do and only go as far as I could go. I loved the experience over those 2 weeks, but as luck would have it, because I'm pivoting my body, I'm also pivoting my business. So my income is not what it used to be. When they came out with their pricing and their packages, I knew that I had to withdraw and not actively pursue reformer classes for the time being. Aside from that, I walk my dog every day, which is great, but that doesn't really help with the issues that I'm having with my body, whether it's body fat composition or the strength or flexibility. None of it felt like it was getting addressed, even though I was moving my body every day. Even though I have access to a gym, I'm never going to go to the gym. That's just where I'm at mentally, emotionally. It's not going to happen. But because I have this commitment to my body, I said, well, what's the effortless way that I could do this? Given that my money is tight, given that I'm constantly on the go, whether it's traveling back and forth from BC or road tripping, I need something that's accessible. So then I had the thought, wait a minute, YouTube has all of these free workouts. If you haven't looked, I highly encourage you to look up different fitness classes here on YouTube because they're of the freemium variety. You can get a solid workout without having to pay anything and start to know different trainers and their programs and get excited about a particular style of fitness before you invest any money. And as a former money-focused coach, I actively encourage my clients to do this, even in the everyday world. Do drop-ins before you buy a membership. Do free before you pay for anything, for as long as you possibly can until you need the next level. Now, as I was going through YouTube, I found so many amazing classes. But the thing that became overwhelming for me was having to look for a new class every day. And so I decided to opt in for a 30-day Pilates challenge. Today marks day 2. And let me tell you, I recorded this class and it is humiliating. I did not realize how stiff my hamstrings were. My hams do not string. And oh my God, you can see it in the way that my legs will not go straight, even with them up against a wall. I'm very clear that for myself, I need to be able to do that. I need to be able to have enough core strength so I can lift my legs, do scissor kicks, so that I can do these windmills and rainbows and all of these things. I want my body to be able to do that, and not without requiring the strength, but without it feeling like I'm climbing Mount Everest, like it's the most difficult thing ever. I was constantly confronted by how limited my mobility range was, my internal strength was, my core. Also, what the fuck is up with my neck? For whatever reason, I had to keep focusing on my abs because my neck kept protruding. And I was like, well, that's going to give me a neck injury. That's not going to work. And so I had to keep resetting. Now, the downside of some of these freemium Pilates classes is that they're often a lot faster than my body would prefer. So what I'm noticing right now, even just in day 2 of this Pilates challenge, is that the amount of reps of a position or an exercise that I can do and that my body can do in a controlled way is radically less than what the trainers are doing on the videos, obviously, right? But not all videos will tell you to like go at your own pace. And in fact, some trainers might even push you to do more. That's not my vibe. This whole 100 days to change my life, to change my body is about me doing this in an effortless way, trying to remove the resistance that gets in the way of me transforming any area of my life. So when it comes to attending a Pilates class, if I can't breathe, that's a form of resistance. So how can I do this exercise while breathing? How can I do this exercise while releasing my neck? How can I do this exercise while engaging my core? And just focusing on the very basic subtleties. And if that means I go slower, then so be it. But imagine 100 days of that level of intentionality. We know that something will change, whether it's the muscles in my arm or even the ability for my hamstrings to actually hamstring properly. The reason why this pivoting my body aspect of things is so important to me is that over the years, I have seen every extreme. I've seen people with eating disorders. I've seen people who are overweight. I mean, I was raised in a family where half my family was overweight, the other half were underweight, and constantly seeing the destruction on either side, not only in terms of our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, like health on all areas is impacted by the way we treat our bodies. And so this effortless wellness, which is the approach I'm taking, is how kind can I be with myself while being intentional that there will be a change, right? It's not just intending mentally, it's my actions are also intentional. I'm showing up every day. I'm eating breakfast, I'm eating lunch, I'm eating dinner, which is something I used to skip over because someone who's not being intentional with the care of their body can afford to skip a meal, but someone who is being intentional with their body can't. So I'm actively eating now. I'm actively like focusing on my protein intake. I'm actively working out. I'm actively doing these things because I'm building a stronger relationship to my body that isn't coming from punishment. It isn't coming from discipline. It's coming from devotion and love and intentionality. I am not going to count my macros. I am not going to weigh myself because my weight doesn't matter. It's how do I feel? How do I feel in my body when I'm moving? How do I feel in my body when I'm getting dressed? Like I said in previous videos, I love my body naked. I don't have a problem with it. I love how I look that way. But when I look at my body in photos, it's not always the case. And I want to be able to be in a photo where I'm like, wow, I feel good while that photo was being taken. I feel good in reminiscing upon looking on that photo of that moment. You know, I want my experience of my daily life to be a reflection of how I feel about myself rather than a byproduct of me not participating within it. Because Pilates does allow for me to go at a much slower pace at home versus having a trainer kind of breathe down my neck. I've got to be honest, I've watched some like people's TikToks, YouTube videos, and people are mean. They're like yelling at you and they're like boot camp style. And it feels fucking awful just to watch them correct and adjust somebody else. And I'm like, I would never pay you money to treat me that way. Right. But home, I can focus more on what my body needs. I can be in more relationship with my body and take myself to my edges without blowing past or over them. And I think that's something that, you know, when you get into a really great fitness class, you will always hear the trainer say, like, it's your body, trust your body, listen to your body. This is forcing me to do that because there isn't a trainer here to correct me. I have to be very deliberate, what feels out of alignment, what feels out of place, and give myself the permission to adjust rather than trying to keep up with the expectations of doing it perfectly or doing even my form in a great way, right? Like I think you'll see people on social media share like your form is off, correct your form. And my sense is, my theory here, my hypothesis is if I'm in tune with my body, I'm going to be able to feel that the form is off. My favorite videos so far that I've been seeing is someone showing like, okay, this is when your body's not actively engaged. When your body is engaged, like this is what it's going to feel like. And I've noticed that within myself, right? So I'm like, I'll do donkey kicks, for example, when you're on all fours and you hinge your leg bent backwards. I know the difference between doing that unengaged and doing that intentionally engaged, which is ironically the theme of this entire journey is, am I intentionally engaged with these different areas of my life? And so bringing that into like this microcosm experience of a donkey kick, am I intentionally engaged in this workout? Am I intentionally engaged in this position? Am I intentionally engaged in this rep? And just expanding upon that in different areas as well. And so being in tune with my body in terms of it being connected to my physical health rather than being connected to my sexuality, rather than it being connected to my body confidence. It's about just me and my meat suit. As we know, taking care of your physical health has a major impact on every other area of your life. To quote Legally Blonde, endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't kill their husbands. That has so much truth in it. And I know that when I work out, when I'm constantly moving my body, when I'm moving the energy out from my body, it feels good. I feel well used. I feel satisfied. And maybe that's the human design generator that I am with a defined root and sacral, but it's also just human. For the last, I don't know how many months, I have been in this position where I'm kind of just stuck with stagnant energy. And so movement, working out, going for runs helps me move that stagnancy that I was previously so frozen with. So not only am I building a better relationship to my body, I'm also building a better relationship to my energy. And when I'm in a better relationship to my energy, I can create more from there. So working on my health also supports my business, because if I'm in a freeze state and I don't know what to do with my energy because it's stagnant and it's stiff, then my business is obviously going to decrease because I'm not creating enough. Versus if I'm moving and that naturally gets my energy flowing, then I'm going to start to feel more creative. And when I'm more creative, I make more money. This is the byproduct of reality, you know? So to close off this episode today, I'm choosing Pilates because it forces me to be in tune with my body, to go at a pace where I can't ignore or blow past certain aspects of the practice. It is a microcosm of the journey that I'm playing at large here, which is, how can I make this effortless? How can I put deliberate intention and action on different areas of my life? So whether it is I'm focusing on my health through food or fitness or Pilates or whatever, it's taking this effortless wellness, intentional action down into the smallest aspect without overthinking, without stressing, trying to control anything, and just continuously doing that. So as of day 93, I am embarrassed by my physical capacity. I'm embarrassed by my physical capability. And I fully trust and know that with intentional action every single day over the next 93 days, that will change. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's check-in. It has been a week of this 100-day challenge. I would love to hear in the comments about what kinds of videos you would like to hear from me, because that's going to help me create content, share the journey with you a little bit easier. And I want to create things that you guys actually want to see. Until next time. Bye, everyone.